watching on one part. Okay, here we are. We're in. Hold on. It's a black screen. Okay, we're in. All right. So apologies, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1 between Beastyqt and MarineLorD. Spawning in the north of the map, playing as the Mongols. It's going to be MarineLorD. Down towards the south, Lidakor. Who have we got?
We got the Beastyqt playing as the Mongols as well. It is Mongol v Mongol, and as usual in this type of setup, the first thing that we'll have to look at is how the stone mines and how the gold mines are spawning. Look at that beautiful spawn here for Beastyqt. Right next to that gold mine is the town center, so that's exactly how you want to start this way. You can skip that Gur in Dark Age. And on the other side, you gotta wonder what MarineLorD spawn is looking like.
Yeah, this is a great spawn for Beastyqt. We'll have to see. And look at that. It's perfect Mongol mirror spawns, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, both players got nothing to complain about here, though I will say it seems like MarineLorD's Uvu is a little bit further away than what Beastyqt's Uvu is. But I suspect if he's going to be going for pastures, he's not going to be too fussed about whether he leaves them on the town center or not. But now we can see that a bit of action happening in the middle of the map. MarineLorD manages to find Beastyqt's Khan out here with 2 scouts, or rather with 2 sheep, and the did you see that interesting play right there? He sent back a sheep to go and die. He literally sent the sheep off to die, and is somewhat suicided at Lidakor.
Oh, poor sheep. And it looks like the bait wasn't taken by MarineLorD. He continues to kill those sheep, and he kind of has to, because if you look at his own Khan, there is nothing that's trailing it. So right now, Beasty had a much better start when it comes to collecting those sheep.
Yeah, definitely right. Now, one of the things to note is that even though the Uvus in this situation are a little bit out of place, so you can see that MarineLorD's is very forward, but Beastie's is quite to the side here. This can serve as a double-edged sword. So for MarineLorD, this is going to be great for his reinforcements, but at the same time, it's on the front line, so maybe it's not as helpful when it comes to sort of defense. But for Beastie, maybe it's a little bit better for him to be defending, or at least running back sheep from his pastures. But we'll have to see how he looks to play it. We do actually see an early wheelbarrow coming through for Beastyqt at this point. So he has dropped down that Gur, despite being so close to his wood line and to his gold mine.
Indeed. And when he drops that Gur down, he's going to have the benefit of being able to get that wheelbarrow quite early, and that's going to be a big boost to his eco. Whereas on the other side, as you see, MarineLorD is going for pasture, which is a little bit surprising given the fact that he's actually got quite a lot of sheep under that town center. Obviously, it's going to help with sustainability, but you gotta like Beastie's position here a little bit better, because MarineLorD isn't directly benefiting, or at least not immediately benefiting from that pasture, whereas on the other side, the benefit will be pretty much immediate for that Gur and wheelbarrow investment for Beastie.
Yeah, that is such a good point. I'm really glad that you brought that up. Interestingly, we did see MarineLorD look to add in a second scout. So he's also going to be applying some pressure now down to this Uvu. I'm curious how much sheep has actually been picked up by either player. Obviously, MarineLorD's looked to drop that pasture down. But if we can get a sheep count, that would be wonderful. Our esteemed observer here spotting it out. So there's the first one with about 11 sheep for MarineLorD. So not a bad amount for him. And down on the south side, how many have we got for Beastyqt? Let's take a look at what Big Beastie has got. He's got far less. He's only on 7.
Yeah, I'm almost getting sleepy here counting all those sheep, but as you would expect, MarineLorD has a couple of extra. Obviously, part of that is that the pasture that he has dropped. Ultimately, Beastie's gonna have to drop his pasture, and this is where we have to go back to those ovus, because those ovus are too far out, so you won't really be able to drop those pastures safely right next to those.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So I guess people always... It's an interesting discussion to have. Do you just drop it next to the town center and keep it safe? Do you put it out near the Uvu, get it in a little bit faster? But then you kind of run the risk of not only it being sieged down, but your sheep being stolen. It's quite a long walk there. But both players obviously opting for the safer route in this situation, and especially Beastyqt would be opting for a safer route, considering we've already got a scout out. But now a stable going to be dropped down here for MarineLorD on the Uvu.
Ooh, opening with a stable, and there are quite a lot of benefits of going for a stable right now, because while he still can't research the Feudal Age Horseman upgrade, one thing that he can do, even though he's not in Feudal Age yet, is he can start producing early horsemen, so by the time he arrives to Feudal Age, he could have like 2 or 4 horsemen out, so he would already have some military presence, and he can start moving forward with those, so that by the time he gets the upgrade in, he's going to have those units already at the Ovu of the opponent.
Yeah, and this is something that we actually saw in the series that MarineLorD actually played against. I think it was Wham in the games yesterday. I would I'd have to double check myself, but essentially what happened is MarineLorD took advantage of the position of the Uvu of his enemy and really looked to apply pressure there. However, I don't remember him doing it with stable units. I remember him doing it with a barracks early. So a little bit of a different strategy coming out here for MarineLorD, and maybe conscious of the fact that Beastyqt is prepared for that. But you can see the torches in hand already out for those horsemen as they begin running across the map. Feudal Age coming in for MarineLorD. A barracks going to get dropped down in the base of Beastyqt. He's about to hit that Feudal Age as well. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Who wins, 1 spearman or 2 horsemen?
It also depends on the Feudal Age upgrade, but I think we don't have to look at 1 spearman right now, although the Ovo is fairly heavily damaged, and with the horseman being nearby, it's gonna be difficult to repair it. But I would think that Beasty might want to wait until he has 2 spearmen so he can take a decisive engagement. I can also see him just sending out 2 villagers and a spearman just to buy him some time, repair that Ovo a tiny bit, help out with the spearman, and then once he's got some more spears on the field, he can take a fight here. And it looks like he's just going to give up on that Ovo altogether.
Oh.
He's just going to place it at the back. That's a ton
Now,
of
what
wood going
happens
down
here?
the drain.
What happens here? Does the raid bounty go over to MarineLorD or not? Because technically, he didn't ever light that building on fire. The Uvu was just sort of rebuilt. It's kind of like, this is interesting.
I have honestly no idea, because you didn't even delete the building manually. We are talking about the game automatically
it's like a game mechanic. Yeah, it's so weird. I wonder what happened there. I wish we could have gone back in time and watched that. I'm sure chat's going to be able to clip it and ship it and let us know. So make sure you add us and let us know. But now Spear's going to be coming out, going to be dealing with this this little push coming through, but the Khan going to be able to do a bit of defense and prepare. You can see the way that he's moving forward there. Great micro coming out now for MarineLorD, infamous for his repetitive Khan micro, just constantly hitting all sides of the base.
Exactly, MarineLorD is one of the best micro players in the entire game, and in his hands, that Khan is super dangerous, because even though it's not delivering a lot of damage per hit, it's slowly grinding down the HP of those spearmen, and it's making it more and more suitable for MarineLorD to take this fight. And of course, this way he's also distracting Beasty, so sure thing, Beasty now has an Ovo working, but it's under pressure, he's forced to commit to spearmen in the long run, and of course, he's also forced to potentially fight here to save his Ovu, whereas back in the base of MarineLorD, he's completely safe, and that's the key thing here. He's the aggressor, so his economy is going to be untouched.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So obviously being with an untouched economy, he's going to be feeling very good about himself. He's going to be able to put more of that those resources into units, and we can see he's quite close to that Castle Age now. He's sitting on 600 gold at the moment, 1,100 food coming through for him, and slowly but steadily working down the forces here from Beasty, and I think he's really doing what he wants to. So Beasty ideally wants to get up to Castle Age as well himself, but you can see just how far he's sitting behind. Beasty actually dropping down a second town center. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's a second town center coming up, and that's the reason why he's so far behind in resources. If you look at the military investments, Beasty just made 4 spearmen. He has gotten the hardened upgrade. It's not like he was spending a ton of resources on army either, so just the investment into army wouldn't justify him being so much behind in terms of resources. But a second town center completely explains it, because obviously you were committing a ton of villagers to just chopping wood. The key thing that's dangerous here right now is that MarineLorD is going into Castle Age, and that's where the Mongols really start to get their power spike. You will see the infantry coming out, improved siege engineering, some lancers coming into raid, and you gotta wonder if Beasty has enough time to capitalize on that second town center before he's getting raided.
Yeah, this is starting to worry me. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think, well, MarineLorD's in an amazing position, but for Beastyqt, he's surely got something up his sleeve here. This isn't the kind of guy who just brings out a brand new strategy in the knockout finals, essentially, is what we're seeing. You know, this is the knockout or the redemption finals. It's a best of 5. This isn't like something he's just developed yesterday. It's something that he would have prepared, something that he's kept in his playbook up until now. He wouldn't have wanted to reveal it until the finals, the very, very final finals, but he realizes how important it is that he doesn't lose this. So I'm curious to see what his approach is here, because this is definitely next level stuff that we're going to be seeing from him.
Yeah, we've seen such attempts being done against Abbasids, because obviously, you know, the Abbasids are going to be putting minimal pressure at you at the beginning of the game. They prioritize going for that second town center, but it's a little unconventional indeed, in fact, quite unconventional, to see the Mongols playing second town center against a Mongol player. It looks like the Horsemen might be able to chase down that Khan, and Beasty has no chance of escaping over here. The Horsemen are faster than the Khan, and indeed, there goes the Khan. That's gonna be a big hit on Beasty, because he lost all vision, and I'm not even sure if he spotted that archery range before the Khan went down.
I think the big thing for me, though, is Beasty knows what's coming. Like, he knows there's going to be an offense. He knows that he's going to be going up against potential Lancer raids from MarineLorD. So my question is more, has MarineLorD actually seen this second town center? Obviously, he knows his enemy's still in feudal, so he expects that something might be up. But does he expect something like this?
It's hard to tell. I don't think he has spotted that, but maybe he can sense it. Like, MarineLorD should know that there is no way that Beast is not going into Castle Age if he's just playing standard full feudal, minimal investment into army. So, yeah, he's heading towards that town center now. He's got a visual confirmation, but I think he was suspecting something was going on. He had his army on the right side of Beasty's base, so if there was a second town center, that had to be on the left side of Beasty's base. That's why he was heading this direction. And that's going to be a quite exposed town center out there, but guess what? Beasty is going into Castle Age as well, so he might actually be able to bridge through this gap.
This is actually very interesting playstyle by Beastyqt. I gotta be honest, man. I didn't expect this whatsoever, but now we see, was it that improved siege engineering coming through for the Beastyqt man himself? Indeed it is. Relic's now getting picked up as well from MarineLorD, so despite falling behind in the villager count, he is going to be looking to secure up those relics. So first one going to be coming in. The relic distribution looks pretty even, so good job over to the developers for this seed. Not having some crazy kind of wild spawn, it seems, but the question is, where does MarineLorD go from here? And it looks like he might actually be going for a second town center himself. Look at the wood that he's stacking up. Look at the gold he's got in the bank. I suspect a market's going to be dropped down any second, and he'll be looking to go into that second town center. But we'll have to wait. We'll have to see how he actually plays it.
Yeah, it's a little tricky because one thing I'm noticing, indeed, there it is that his food income per minute is terrible, looking at 45 food per minute. So I wonder if he actually ran out of sheep at the beginning, because as you pointed out, he's got a ton of gold in the bank. Looks like the tower is going to be denied. This was spotted by Beasty, but he's playing this one very patiently. He's collecting relics, and that's going to give him a nice edge over the opponent. And honestly, if that second town center indeed goes up for MarineLorD, I will like his position a little bit better, because he's going to be behind by a couple of villagers. In fact, it's actually quite a lot of villagers now that I'm seeing that. Look at that. It's 40 villagers,
yeah, he's up
supposed
15
to 54.
Villages. Yeah, it's a 15 villager difference at this point. The other difference is that MarineLorD is now on his second relic, or at least collecting his second relic. So Beastyqt is going to be a little bit behind in the religious department. So he's going to have to say a little bit more than thoughts and prayers to actually bring that one back. But I guess the village difference is really going to start adding up once it reaches a critical point. Now, going to be heading in towards this wood line. Beasty pulls it back. He's got a sprinkled out, going to be applying a little bit of pressure here as well, but Town Center going to be safely keeping that villager inside, that single villager inside, and the attack is repelled with no damage being done whatsoever.
Indeed. The fact that you don't have a ton of villagers around that town center makes it difficult to push away the opponent, because the thing is that while the town center is shooting at those incoming enemies, reality is that the firepower with no villagers inside is so minimal that the knights or lancers can just run past it. So now with the second town center up for MarineLorD, he can start at least maintaining that villager difference, which is currently numbering 18. The key thing is how many relics he's able to obtain, because if he's getting the relic advantage, and so far he has that, it's 3 versus 0, if he can get a 4th and 5th one, that villager deficit won't really matter. Oh, looks like the villager is gonna get picked off by the Khan. Nice little pickup there by Beasty.
Yeah, Beasty doing a good job of just applying a pressure back towards the base, forcing back a couple of units here, but you can see that MarineLorD is all over this map. He dropped down that monastery or that prayer tent in the middle of the map, so he's got a great vantage point here, enabling him to just send out all of his relics, or send out all of his shamans out to each of the relics, but Khan moving around the back of the base now, just going to continue applying pressure. You can see the village actually falling back, and he's going to need to address this, because this is the consequence of the Khan. It's something that if you leave it, it will 100% decimate your economy. It just slowly trickling away at your villager count.
Indeed. And one of the more important things here for Beasty is that now he also has a visual confirmation on that second town center from his opponent. So Beasty knows very well that his opponent is playing 2 TCs. He probably also spotted that his opponent is picking up relics. So he knows that he's gonna have to make something happen soon, because he really can't afford to let the opponent have 5 relics, because as you see on the overlay on the top right, we already have 3 relics in for MarineLorD, and he's going to pick up 2 more. And after that, I think he's just going to pick up that prayer tent and head back home.
Yeah, this is such an interesting style coming out, but now we start to see that trench warfare digging in. The first of the outposts is in, and it is looking to work its magic down towards that south position. Springalds moving forward and looking to trade out on enemy units, but at the same time, the Springald outpost just doing so much more damage than those Springalds. Keep in mind, the Springalds that you see on the ground, the little zoom cars, these guys used to pack an awfully big punch, but it did get nerfed. It used to be 60 damage a pop that they popped out, but it got reduced down to 30. Now, the only difference is that the Springald outposts have to actually be nerfed as well because they have got so much damage on them as well.
Indeed, and it's funny that you said it. It kind of feels like when, you know, your grandparents are saying that back in my days, this and that. It's kind of like that. It's like back in my days, Springles did 60 per shot, and all that the players did was just spam Springles left and right, aka the Age of Springles, and there goes the now monastery, although the appropriate name is a prayer tent, but when it backs up for whatever reason, it's called a moving monastery. But it's
also bigger on the
relics.
minimap. Look how big it is. It's. Do you remember back in my day, Lidakor, all the buildings on the minimap used to be that big, and it was just hilarious the way that the minimap looked. They got every single building except for the monastery, or sorry, the prayer tent when it was moving. Every other building they remembered to change the size of, but not that one. Not that one.
Looks like we have a Lancer coming in here, and one thing that MarineLorD is going to spot is that Beasty is depleting that forest quite rapidly. So, suddenly, we are going to have some urgency coming in here for Beasty to find a new source of wood very soon, and if I'm looking at the minimap, I'm struggling to find an appropriate wood line that's going to be rather safe.
Yeah, it's not looking particularly good for him at the moment. I guess it's probably this forward position, but you can see he's starting to work his way forward. So it's not going to be terrible, but you can see the way that the trenches are moving forward across the map and looking to try and take control of sacred sites in the center now. But I've got to say, Beastyqt's position is looking quite decent. When it comes to villager count, he's ahead by 18 villagers at the moment. Military count, he's also quite far ahead. But look at the double wolf action that we've got right now. A little bit of 2-on-1. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. This is adult content.
Oh boy, and that tower might not even get up. That would be painful. That would be very painful for Beast to actually lose a villager to 2 wolves. I think he's aware of the fact that he can't fight off 2 wolves, so he's just trying to scramble up the tower, and it looks like the Vibe Life today is supporting MarineLorD because that tower ain't going up.
And a big shout out going out to A to the 3 coming in with the 50 gifted subs to EGC TV's channel. I know that we're in game number 1 at the moment, and I probably shouldn't be shouting you out, but big shout out. That's 50 subs, man. That's absolutely massive. So big pogs out to you. Thank you very much for supporting the channel and keeping tournaments like these going. I know that EGC TV has confirmed that if we get to, how many, what was the number, Lidakor? I think 250,000 subs.
Yeah, or so.
It's some ludicrous amount of subs.
Yeah,
he'll do a LAN.
Yeah, not just a simple LAN, it's gonna be a LAN in Las Vegas.
Oh wow, okay. So that means that we get to wait, hold on, Drongo. This is a family rated stream. We're not going to talk about our ideas for Las Vegas. But speaking of ideas for Las Vegas, Beastyqt is looking to absolutely take MarineLorD to school right now because MarineLorD is sitting on the back foot. Beastyqt working his magic across this entire map. Outposts going up out the wazoo, and I'm starting to wonder, are these outposts just a little bit too good now?
I would think so, yes. The thing is that while their cost was increased in a recent patch for the Mongols, so they're not so viable for Darkish rushes, they're still very valuable. And the thing is that you can just spread those out, you will have a ton of vision with them, you can really just distribute them all across the map. It's not like a keep, because in this mid-game area, you can't just place 10 keeps in the middle of the map. But with the towers, you can spread them out, you're going to have a great vision. And the thing is that it's very difficult to destroy them one by one. It's not like one castle, which you can just focus fire with 6 trebuchets. Your opponent basically has to start systematically going through the map and take it down, tower by tower. If he's doing that with trebuchets or mangonels, he has to crawl up, set up the siege weapons, fire, back up, move to the next one, and that is time-consuming as well. So there's a lot of buffer zone over here as well that's provided by those towers.
Yeah, and we can really see where it all comes together right now with Beastyqt and the way that he's pushing forward. Just look at this almost snaking amount of outposts he's made throughout the center, just slowly pushing this trench forward. And this really is the next level of Mongol gameplay. And I'm curious to see how the devs respond to it, because it seems very difficult to defeat this sort of strategy or this sort of tactic, just outposts all over the map. You can see those sprinkled emplacements coming through once again. But I guess the relieving thing for me, Lidakor, is that we're only going to have to see this matchup once in this series. But to be honest, it has gotten a lot better. I do enjoy this matchup, and it does seem like it's a little bit more, what's the word? A little crazier. Let's just say that much.
I mean, double tower rush, one by each player with the Mongols would have been also be crazy, but, well, I guess we're gonna have to settle with this tower creep for the time being. And look at that tower creep, that's not going up here for Beasty, but you value the effort. The tricky thing now is that he can't delete that because the tower was shot by the archers, so MarineLorD would get the bounty if that tower goes deleted. Slowly but surely, Beasty's crawling up, and one thing I'm really appreciating at Beasty's position right now is the amount of springboards he has, because what he needs to make this work is springboards. He has to take down siege, and they just use those towers to destroy the opponent's army, in essence.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You sort of, it's almost like a battle of attrition. And if your enemy ever pushes into you, that's fine. You let them push into you. But what we see is just a huge force coming out right now from Beastyqt. Pushing up towards his enemy's base. We can see those springboards really looking to try and make connections there. It's not looking pretty, but now the fight begins. The archers on the front line looking to try and defend those springboards. 3 mangonels sitting safely on the back, managed to get off a pretty decent shot, but look at the springboards out from Beastyqt. He is just taking out each of the springboards from MarineLorD, and Beasty's got a huge amount of springboards that still remain.
Indeed, he sacrificed some infantry to take down most of the springboards from the opponent, but one thing that he also found out is that he didn't have a direct answer to all those archers and the mangonels even behind them, because he wasn't able to take down those mangonels, and he took a quite big beating on his own army as well. The good thing for him right now is that he took down the springboards, so once again, this allows him to just start creeping up more and more and have that siege superiority, because in a matchup like this, Mongols v Mongols or Mongols v Abbasids, Abbasids versus Abbasids, the civilizations that can construct the siege on the battlefield, it all comes down to the number of springboards that you have in a specific battle.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's the one key unit that changes everything. It's able to defend against the mangonels, able to defend against those trebuchets as well. And that stable going to be going down. He moved it back. 17 health on it, 10 health. It's going to go down.
There it goes. It's like, I don't need that stable. I can just let it burn down.
Usher once again coming in with hottest hits from 2002. Let it burn, he says. But now, I guess the question for me is, from here, where does MarineLorD even go? He's got the 5 relics in the back. He's sitting on a deficit of about 13 villages at the moment, so his economy is fine. But my main concern is just the lack of springboards coming out from him. But now he looks to even up the springboard count, a huge mass building for him, and looking to trade it out. We see that beautiful spectator camera coming in. Great job, Vodka, looking absolutely amazing as the archers continue to push up. Where are the mangonels right now for Beastyqt, though? Because MarineLorD looks like he's actually beginning to take control of the fight. All the springboards now going to be going down. MarineLorD actually pushing back in towards these trenches that we've got here beginning to build up.
And here's the deal with those springboard towers. They are very good dealing a lot of damage, but their rate of fire is not spectacular, which means that a massive amount of archers, the army that we're seeing from MarineLorD, is not something that can be easily stopped with just a couple of towers. And just to answer your question that you thrown at me just before that battle, that's exactly where MarineLorD goes. He is going for one decisive battle. That's the way that Mongols work here. He wants to force one decisive battle like the one he did, take down the springboards of the opponent, and then suddenly the pressure is going to be relieved from his base, and there is going to be the counterattack for him opening up as a chance.
Yeah, well, speaking of pressure on bases, take a look at this. 15! Look at these sheep just hanging out. We got the classic X formation coming out from these pastures here. In addition, check out the long-distance mining that's happening in the middle of the map as well. We saw a couple of wood choppers just chopping up the forest as far as possible. Have a look at that. That's pretty much a world record for long-distance chopping, at least in a pro-level game. I don't think you'll see it ever any worse than that. It's going to be a rare sight, I'll say that much. But MarineLorD now hitting 197 population, Beastyqt sitting on 191. Is both players looking to actually go towards Imperial Age, and it looks like MarineLorD's going to be clicking up now. White Stupa going to be going down somewhere, probably in the back of his base, trying to keep it safe, and Beastyqt going to be doing the exact same thing. So within seconds of each other, these guys are, that's how good these guys are.
Yeah, it's head-to-head right now. Looking at the army numbers, those are fairly comparable. 105 military population for MarineLorD, 89 for Beasty. And it looks like MarineLorD is also starting to add some more towers himself. He's realizing that those towers will be an integral part of his defense here. He's mostly operating with mangonels, though. That's the main difference. If you look at the unit compositions, we got a push here on the right side. Those infantry are actually affected by the YAM network. I think we have a tower on the far right side that's helping with that. And it's going to be a couple of villagers killed from MarineLorD. Not a disaster, but obviously it's a bit of a distraction right now for him.
Yeah, to be honest, at this point in the game, when you've got that many villagers, it's not a big deal to be losing 1 or 2 on the wood line. It's mainly just an issue that that your APM is getting drawn to positions elsewhere, and you're trying to focus on one thing, and all of a sudden you're getting attacked at another spot. So it can be a drain on that. But you can see that MarineLorD has now reached the Imperial Age, or at least is about to reach the Imperial Age. Beastyqt already up himself, and we've now got some upgrades coming through. Roller Shutter Trigger is going to be the upgrade that Beastyqt looks to get. I'm suspecting that's the improved version that he's going for. And once that comes out, he's going to be looking for a timing push. You can see he's actually researching, I think that's Siege Works coming in through as well.
Yep. That's correct.
He is looking to get all of his upgrades and really try and push for a timing window here, and he might be able to achieve it. We can see Elite Archers actually coming through from MarineLorD on the other side, but he is neglecting those upgrades, now finally getting through that Roller Shutter Trigger, but the window is definitely open right now for Beastyqt. The question is whether he climbs through it.
Indeed. He's got that window open. He's also capping Sacred Sites, something that we've been neglecting so far, and you see he's creeping up towards the left side as well. You get the feel that Beasty wants MarineLorD to make a move. He doesn't necessarily want to push into the opponent's base. He knows very well that one bad fight and he's out of this game. So maybe the safest way to do this would be to just get all 3 Sacred Sites and then force MarineLorD to make a move. Obviously, it also helps compensate for the Relic deficit he has, and look at the amount of towers you're seeing here now. He's creeping closer and closer to MarineLorD's base, and soon MarineLorD could start running out of resources here because his map control is heavily limited here in this scenario.
Yeah, it's starting to look worrisome for him, the way that Beastyqt just continues to squish him in. More outposts going up, and look at the amount. Both players sitting on max population. Beastyqt down a little bit at this point in time, but a fight. Look at a begin breaking out. You can see the archers firing down upon those spearmen, and the sprinkled mass is just so big at this point in time, and it's largely just driven simply because of these outposts. These outposts enable this sprinkled mass to never really die, never die to any sort of cavalry or anything like that. It's just always going to be able to fall back to it. So speaking of cavalry, look what we have over here. A little bit of a secret base, would you?
Yeah, it has to be a horseman switch here. There's quite a lot of crossbows on the battlefield for Beasty, 30 to be precise. He's got a couple of spearmen, but a well-timed counterattack with the cavalry could be devastating. We also got Tithe Barns coming in for MarineLorD. He's got 5 relics, so this is definitely an investment that you can justify. And now, suddenly, the push comes in from Beast on the left side. Those towers have 0 emplacements on them, so it's just free bounty. And that's a ton of the eco as well for MarineLorD that's being exposed on the left side.
Yeah, Beasty doing a good job at forcing his enemy to respond to this. You can see the amount of towers that are going up for him. Now, keep in mind, both players are on maximum population, which means that there's going to be no room. Well, I say that. Beasty's sitting on 184 at the moment. I'm not sure where his production is or what it's doing. He's got more than 6,000 resources in the bank, and yet still for some reason, he's not actually making any extra units. In fact, he's making a couple bombards. Is that potentially where he's thinking? Maybe going to be heading into a mass bombard strategy, potentially? Is that what he's going to be going for?
Maybe. It's a little risky though, because keep in mind that the improved roller shutter triggers allows the Mongol springolds to just outrange those bombards. It's difficult to keep your own bombards alive, but one thing that would give him is a ton of firepower. So compared to those traction trebuchets, those bombards would be much more impactful in a combat. And not just taking down buildings, it's also very useful to take down mangonels from the opponent potentially if you can get a shot out before it gets killed by the springolds.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what direction players look to go for, just mainly because at this point, it's all about fighting over those resources, and we can see now over towards this eastern side of the map, the step redoubt has been secured up with a couple of outposts sitting ready to go, and Mongols typically in the late game are really going to need that gold, and you can see there's a big fat gold sitting right here that is of no use to either player because the springolds, the trenches are existing over the top of this.
Bombard now opening up against that traction trebuchet, and that's the thing here, Bombard can take down trebuchets quite easily, but vice versa, that's not so easy. And you see, once again, Beasty is just creeping up, slow and steady. It's a very patient, very methodical game, very similar to what you usually see from him when he is allowed to play with Vols. This time around, he's got a virtual Vol formed by those towers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, I'm curious, if we take a look from the perspective of MarineLorD, what gold does he actually have available to him? Because as far as I'm aware, it's only this 8,000 gold that's left. There's nothing else available to him. There's a bit of a push up towards the north side of the map at the moment. We'll take a look over there, over on the left-hand side. Right-hand side. Yeah, there we go. We've got villagers moving forward. You can see he's making a push for this position. He knows he needs this gold. How much gold have we got left in this gold mine as well? Because this is what it's all about. Army's back on the other side looking to fight over the other gold. You can see what this is all about. It is all about resources at this point in time.
Yeah, it is attrition warfare that we're looking at. The Scouting Falcon was deployed by Beasty to provide him vision, and now the Springolds are opening up. Oh, look at that! The Mangonel shot just wiping out the army.
Wow, that is why you pay the Mangonels the big bucks, because they have the power to do that. Very well played by those Mangonels, but look at the Beastyqt micro coming out with the race cars, the the Springles over there on the back line doing a decent job, but now the Archer's going to be moving in. The big match of Archers. Beastyqt down to 155 population at the moment. MarineLorD down to 152 himself. MarineLorD losing all of his siege at this point, and only Archers seem to remain at this point for MarineLorD. This is an insane fight, and the big thing for MarineLorD is that he has managed to force back this position and will potentially gain himself a gold mine.
Indeed, and look at the population, 139 for both players, massive drop for both, but MarineLorD still has a standing army, and that's quite a lot of archers. Archers with flaming arrows were also able to set many of those Springles on fire and kill them quite easily. And now the key thing here is that MarineLorD was able to launch some raids, so he's finally impacting the eco of Beasty, but there is a retaliation. A counterattack from Beasty with horsemen, and there is no direct answer from MarineLorD aside from his own horsemen.
Yeah, it's an interesting response from Beastyqt, but it makes a lot of sense. He's seen how many archers, how many crossbows have come out from his enemy. And yeah, we've got 21 of those bad boys, but 42 horsemen at the moment for Beastyqt. So he's gone into a massive switch and really focusing on this. And at the same time, we see a couple of horsemen visiting the base of Beastyqt, and Beastyqt greeting him and letting him join the sheep on the ground.
On the right side, we still have a bit of a scuffle for gold mines. MarineLorD still has about 1200 gold per minute, but as you pointed out, he's running low on gold. So the timer is on his side right now, and now we're seeing the bombard emplacements coming up for those towers. That's what's going to make them even stronger than the Springald emplacements, and that's where they really become dangerous. And now, Beasty with the cavalry, he's gonna have that mobility component, so he can use that to raid on the right side, and also simultaneously creep up with towers on the left side and keep preventing MarineLorD from accessing that gold.
I feel like Beasty knows something that we don't, and it is this tech right here, this horseman tech that he is going into. Look at the horsemen all over the map. He's currently sitting at 60 horsemen, 192 population. It is a huge amount of horsemen, and he's got so much mobility as a result of it. He begins to push in towards the base of his enemy, and I'm starting to think, can we potentially see a landmark snipe coming out of Beastyqt?
It's a possibility. What I would love to see from him, actually, is the raiding bounty upgrades, especially the stone bounty, because he's burning down tower after tower, gur after gur. So many cheap, inexpensive buildings that he's burning down. Imagine that he's getting a bunch of bounty for that. If you fully upgrade your stone bounty, you would get 125 stone each for those buildings burned down. Think about that, how many bombard emplacements that would mean on all those towers.
Yeah, now one of the things to note is take a look at the food income for MarineLorD right now. He's sitting on 900 food per minute, whereas Beastyqt sits on more than 2,000 food a minute. He is absolutely all over this game, and now going to be looking to take a fight here, but manages to force his way out of it, at the same time pushing in on the other angle. This is not looking good for MarineLorD right now. Beastyqt heading into the wood line. It is completely unguarded. All the villagers going to have to be heading back home, and it seems like he's doing incredibly well here. I can't believe it. It's amazing the type of skill that he's got.
Look at the siege.
No.
The horsemen would just take that down in the second that it was finished. I think some of them are not even finished here, and that's exactly the perfect fight for Beasty here. He's now using that mobility perfectly, and he's inflicting so much damage on the opponent's eco. And as you pointed out, the lack of food income for MarineLorD is also something that's hindering his ability to add cavalry just to match the numbers that are coming in from Beasty.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild the amount of cavalry that he's got out on the map. Still sitting at about 2,000 food a minute at the moment, and now that bombard going to be coming out as well. First landmark is under attack. 4 bombards going to be looking to tee off on it, and this is going to be the first landmark. It looks like it does make its way back towards the backside, and villagers going to be coming out as well. But look at all the bombard outposts here. This is incredible stuff. I mean, but this is just late game Mongols. It doesn't matter what price you put on these outposts. People are still going to be making them. Once you hit 200 population, at this point in the game, it doesn't matter. It's like a keep. It's just something extra that you're always going to make.
And look at those cannons opening up right here. And once again, Beasty is a step ahead of his opponent. He's already adding spearmen, and even though there is a counterattack here by MarineLorD against those bombards, it looks like only 2 of them will be taken down. Bombards still standing strong, and on the northern side, the raids are just never ending. MarineLorD is still at 84 villagers, and he's got 5 relics, but he's slowly being suffocated by all these raids coming from all these angles.
And look at all the villagers healing up that bombard doing so much work. It does finally go down, but Beastyqt going to be tearing down the base of his opponent up towards the north side. It seems like he's in trouble up there, MarineLorD, but down towards this south position. Beastyqt also looks to be under pressure because there's bombards firing out at these outposts. You can see the emplacements coming through on them. So many outposts. I would love to know how many outposts we've had made this game, because I'm starting to feel like it's probably north of 100 at this point.
And look at those. I would really love to see the POV of Beasty right now. I'm really curious how much bounty he's getting for all those buildings burned down, because he's been burning building after building after building. And I'm starting to get curious if he actually has gotten those upgrades, because he seems to be just systematically burning down those gurs left and right. And the only motivation for that would be to obtain the bounty, really.
Yeah, he's done a great job of cleaning up that side, and it's important to remember that while Beastyqt is burning down the base of his enemy, MarineLorD's kind of burning down this forward position, but he has managed to take control of the gold, and that's what he was really looking to try and secure. And you can see that it is safely up right now. The step redoubt sitting on it. He's got 3.3k gold in the bank, but that's not what he needs right now. He needs food, and you can see even though that there's berries all over the map, he's not interested in them. He can just simply make pastures.
Yeah, but the pastures are pretty much gone, so he was fighting so relentlessly for the gold mine that his pasture eco is terrible. In fact, you could see those horsemen camping under that town center. The pastures are there, the sheep are there, but where are the villagers? Where are the villas at? It's 7 villas, just now sending another detachment of villagers here to gather food. It looks like those horsemen probably got a couple of kills on there, and it's only 25-25. There is the stone bounty, the 125 stone per building burned down. Beasty was targeting those cheap and easy to destroy buildings so systematically that there is no way that he hasn't gotten that upgrade before that.
It makes so much sense how he's powering this economy now. He is just tearing through all of these buildings. And now down towards this southern position, we can see more outposts going to be going up. Villagers doing a great job. And at the same time, more villagers up towards the north, but Beasty just struggling to spot those out. And the army continuing to jostle for position. We've got bombards, we've got springles, we've got a huge amount of horsemen. I think there are even some knights in there. I don't actually, you know what? I take it back. They were just very cool looking horsemen.
Yeah, knights are essentially cool-looking horsemen. They got the shiny armor. You know, they're the rich guys that can afford all that armor. But aside from that, they're just horsemen, just with shiny armor.
That's an interesting way of looking at it, Lidakor. We'll see if the battle tactics actually come out that way, but a bit of a nice raid coming through down here towards this southern position, picking up a few villagers. I would just note, villager count right now. Beasty on 120, MarineLorD 74. I don't know when that happened, but we've got a 45 villager difference between these two guys. MarineLorD is struggling to keep his head above water. He's on 166 population. He's got 800 or 900 food a minute at the moment. He's managed to move back a lot of villagers towards that food, so he has dropped off a whole bunch of food in the last couple of seconds. You can see it's rocketed up that food a minute up to 1100 a minute now. So definitely doing the right thing, but still just struggling so much with these raids coming in. The outpost just, you know, we talked about it a little bit earlier. The outpost seems strong, but now looking at the game, you're kind of wondering, well, how does Mongol even play it in the late game when they can't even make walls?
And I love how Beasty's using the fact that his opponent is making so many towers, because he's trying to catch those, he's trying to take them down and get the bounty for it. There's a mangonel setting up behind that forest, immediately taken down by the springles right now, and it looks like we're in for a big decisive battle. The horsemen are charging in on the archers. Mangonel fire supporting quite heavily here for MarineLorD, and it looks like most of the siege is gone here for Beasty, but there is nothing that stops those horsemen from massacring the archers.
Yeah, beautiful surround that he's gotten there. You can see the Khan doing a little bit of an armor arrow. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though, because Beasty is just completely steamrolling through this army, managing to actually focus down a couple of the springles. Now going to be turning their attention towards that bombard, and it is a cleanup on aisle 3 right now, and Beasty is just going to be reinvesting all of those resources into his military, and at the same time, look at MarineLorD. He's on 114 population, 38 military units to his name. He's not looking pretty.
Both of the players lost a substantial amount of units in that battle, but obviously for Beasty it's much easier to replenish because he's got a ton of stone to burn with the double training, and of course his in general eco is just much better, although we have to highlight that he himself started to run out of gold. It's only 250 per minute now. So suddenly, MarineLorD is actually taking over when it comes to resource income per minute. Just compare that. Aside from the wood income, it's better in terms of food and gold for MarineLorD.
I think we've got traders. We've finally reached that point in the game. 38 minutes through, and we have got traders down to the south of the map. If we take a look down there, you've got markets, and more markets, baby. We are trading today, and he is heading over towards that other corner. I'd love to see how much gold he's going to be bringing back with these traders as they pick up their gold. It's 167 gold he's going to be looking to pick up here, so a pretty decent opening amount of gold, I'd say.
Indeed, and you can boost the movement speed of those traders with your YAM network, something that he has already started setting up, and that's going to be a great source of obtaining gold. Keep in mind that you can also get stone for trading with the Mongols if you get that upgrade, so once again, ton of stone could be available for Beasty, and one thing I would love to see him do is make a prayer tent, and there is an imperial age upgrade in the prayer tent that allows the prayer tent to work as an ovu, so allow the double production in its aura. And that would be a great move right now from Beasty. Just have one of those on the front line and have his production buildings right next to it. So that way he would have great production. Now he's diving in for that monastery. He knows very well that that's 5 relics that he could easily knock out from the hands of MarineLorD with that snipe.
Yeah, it's a pretty smart move. This is taking out a very big chunk of the economy of MarineLorD. He's going to have to rebuild it. He's going to have to wait for the shamans to come out, and then he's going to have to slowly, methodically pick them up one by one and put them back into where they came from. Needs to probably move that onto the back lines, but MarineLorD now putting down another prayer ton in immediate response. And you can just see how much work is being done here. Beastyqt just able to constantly be in the base of his opponent. MarineLorD not doing any form of counter-attacking. He's just the one that is trying to beat off all of these attacks. He's dodging, he's ducking, he's dipping, he's diving, he's dodging. But the question is it going to be enough? Because MarineLorD or Beastyqt is just continuing to throw wrenches at him.
Exactly. The thing is that MarineLorD is surviving right now as he loses 2 Springos to the volley coming out from Beasty. But he isn't progressing forward in this game. He's surviving, but he can't really do anything to Beasty's eco. Beasty's setting up a trade behind this one. Beasty's food eco is untouched, whereas MarineLorD is suffering from raid after raid, and his buildings are slowly being ground down over here.
Yeah, it's interesting to note the fact that the buildings continue to get ground down, but he doesn't seem to be moving towards this safe place. Just to the south of his base, or towards the west of his base, is probably the best way to think about it. He's got a very open plain that is up there. It's quite well protected, yet he still continues to move out. But now we've got hand cannoneers, the first ones in the game, coming out for Mr. MarineLorD. So he's looking to invest all that gold that he's been mining and putting them into hand cannoneers. So an interesting tech choice.
Indeed, but going into this very late game scenario, there's a 5th resource that you have to consider, that being population. You want to have population efficient units out here, and in essence, hand cannoneers are very population efficient because their damage output is brutal, and if you have that combination of hand cannoneers and springboards, it's very difficult to deal with them because the springboards will just snipe the mangonels that are coming in, and the only concern that you could possibly have is lack of mobility, and that's exactly what Beast is looking to exploit. Another counterattack, Vololo here. Oh, nope.
Yeah, it's taken out immediately, and you can see that prayer tent is sitting there destroyed. He's got the other one just above that position, and now looking to come out through. We can see a little bit of a dance going down on one of those horsemen, but now Beastyqt continuing to push up towards this position. Villagers trying their best to get more outposts up, but you can see MarineLorD is fighting for his life here. He knows how strong, how important it is for Beastyqt to lose this opening game, and he's going to try and do everything he can within his power to stop it. So, you know, I really look back to the beginning of this game, Lidakor. I remember I asked you, what does Beastyqt know that we don't? This is what he knew. He knew that the second town center gives him this little window, and he decided to climb through it, and he's never stopped climbing through that window. He has just climbed back in, he's climbed back out, he's climbed back in. This window has been open the entire time, and he's just continued to exploit it, always putting on pressure. He maintained that map control from the very beginning of the game. I mean, when I say the beginning of the game, I'm talking like from 13, 14 minutes, that sort of thing. Once he got that trench out there, he looked miraculous, and he's still looking incredible.
Indeed, and he is using Mongols the best that it is possible to be used. He's using the Yam network to great effect. Yam network and these raids are just a deadly combination. That cavalry moves through the map so fast. And of course that raiding bounty as well that he's using to obtain some extra resources for himself. And as you pointed out, the trenches that he established, something that makes it next to impossible for MarineLorD to launch a counterattack without getting detected.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that MarineLorD's actually building up a pretty decent mass of military. He's up to 109 population at the moment. Compare that over to the 72 of Beastyqt, and it does look like it's quite a vast difference between these two guys. But keep in mind, it's about the reinforcements that come out as well, because even though Beastyqt might be down on that population, that military pop, he's going to have the villagers that enable him to just continue making more and more units. And now we see another dive towards this town center. For the 15th time this game, he's going to be able to come in underneath this town center. I feel like we might even be entering a stalemate period here, Lidakor.
To a certain extent, yes. I would call this calm before the storm, though, because obviously Beasty was focusing on setting up that trade, and we're entering that stage where suddenly the resources will start running dry across the map. Because at some point, MarineLorD is going to start running out of choppable trees, mineable gold. In fact, I'm fairly certain that he mostly ran out of mineable gold already. And suddenly that trade is going to be even more important for Beasty. But you see, Beasty's got a clear target. He wants to raid that food eco. He's realizing that that's the most vulnerable part of MarineLorD's economy. And that's probably the easiest way to cripple MarineLorD's economy quite fast.
Yeah, one of the things to note, though, Beastyqt over towards the left side of the map, or the west side of the map, has actually put outposts up on that market. So you can see that, or the trading post, rather. So the neutral trading post that he is using, that's obviously safe, but the trading post that's available to MarineLorD has been outpost up. So he knows that there's no trade going on at the moment, which means as long as he's able to keep his head above water and survive out his opponent, he's going to be a-okay. And you can see right now these outposts are going up, just a single villager going to be securing it up. But yeah, a huge amount of military coming out from MarineLorD at the moment, and that mass continues to build. But we could potentially have a bit of a landmark snipe here. Bombards up towards the enemy base. That is dangerous.
It is indeed dangerous, but it's also dangerous for Beast that he's entering that stage where he has a slight overboom. 132 eco at this point, especially when he's floating so many resources. His military numbers aren't looking spectacular, but there is the snipe attempt coming in here. The starting town center and Deerstones are right next to each other. I wonder if the step redoubt actually got repaired, because it was destroyed previously. And then you also have to find a white stupa. For now, the bombards are just setting up against those towers. There's the white stupa right next to the town center, so 3 out of the 4 landmarks that you have to snipe are on this screen.
Yeah, he does know about it, but keep in mind the YAM network going to be able to provide movement speed bonuses to those, and if the Khan gets back, it'll be able to provide a movement speed bonus to those buildings as well. So they'll always be able to run away. I learned the hard way not to ram rush a Mongol player, because he just runs away from you. But now it looks like MarineLorD going to be heading up towards the north here, going to be able to clean up this position. A lot of hand cannoneers beginning to come out for him, and I'm starting to think Beastyqt's only option to this might actually just be mass horsemen, because when you look at the composition that's come out from his enemy, it just seems to be hand cannoneers, archers, springalds, and a few crossbows as well. Like, there's no spears in here whatsoever. And that's really the only unit that's going to deal with those horsemen masses in the late game.
Mass horsemen seems fairly reasonable for him. Mass lancers, or at least some lancers being added, could be an option. I mean, he's sitting at 5,000 stone. He could turn that to a lot of double production. But the key thing, I think, for him is that he needs to reduce his villager numbers a tiny bit, because he simply can't produce more units because he's bottlenecked by population.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But now we can see that he's managed, MarineLorD's managed to take control of this northern site. At the same time, it looks like attacks happening in the middle of the map. I can see a boar that appears to be under attack. But now MarineLorD going to be under attack once again on the step redoubt. The step redoubt, obviously an incredibly important landmark, going to enable him to continue mining from the gold mine and pull in those extra resources. But now we see a bit of a push coming through the middle here. There's a lot of military units in this position, but I'm curious whether there's any defense going to be put out for Beastyqt at this point.
He doesn't need to win that battle necessarily. He just needs to destroy enough units to slow down that aggression, because he's burning down the left side now. And with the Mongols, you do have the additional torches upgrade, which increases your torch damage. So you could indeed go for that possible landmark snipe. You see the step redoubt is making a run for it to the right side. Looks like this is not something that Beasty was looking at. He found a new food eco of his opponent. Currently 200 population, back to 75 military numbers though, and he's flanking around with the cavalry. I think he wants a big surround here, come from the behind with the cavalry, and force one decisive win.
Yeah, that's what it looks like it might be happening. You can see that the villagers were kind of wigging out a little bit there. He's managed to secure up a gold mine that's in the middle of the map, or at least try and get it down. But now, moving around the edges of the map, he's intent on causing havoc once again. But you can see that the immobile army coming out from MarineLorD, he just doesn't really know where he wants to take it. He's got so much coverage, so much line of sight over this entire map. But I don't know whether he actually spots this. There's a lot of horsemen moving in this position. Only 30 horsemen are out for Beastyqt at this point in time. Where is all of his population? I mean, I guess it's in the villages, right? Like, it's got to be in the villages.
And in siege. Look at that.
Yeah.
Is that 8 bombards I'm seeing?
That is 8 bombards you are seeing.
Oh, potatoes. That's where his population is at.
Is he not going for a snipe? Like, when I see this amount of siege, I'm just wondering, it's got to be for a snipe. Like, what? He's not saving it up for a rainy day at this point.
He should be going for a snipe. Bombards are crawling up in the middle, and right now the base is wide open. Okay, hand cannoneers are back. I don't think that he's gonna get the snipe over here, but he might get the step redoubt in the middle.
Yeah, such an interesting playstyle now coming out from him. And look at the cleanup, though. I mean, at this point, MarineLorD's still looking absolutely fine. He's down to 69 villagers. Nice.
Nice.
But at the same time, like he's still holding on. He's still got plenty of resources in the bank. And so I guess the question, Uvu is depleted. Look at the outpost coming up here for Mr. Beastyqt, just doing Beastyqt things. You know, the Mongols can't build walls, but they can build outpost walls. So take that, Reddit.
Oh, he has gotten the upgrade as well to the looting bounty now, so he's getting 75 food, 75 gold per destroyed building, and I think at this point Beasty's preparing for a battle where potentially all the resources will be depleted on the map, golds, food lines, and in that scenario he's gonna have the trait, he's gonna have the raiding bounty, and he just wants to starve MarineLorD out of resources completely.
And he's having a bit of trouble putting down that step redoubt in the middle of the map. All of his units keeps trying to get in on the action. Unfortunately, they don't realize that they're doing more harm than they're doing good. He finally gets it down, managing to plant his foot solidly there, rather. But going to be losing out a couple of bombards here, but he's not too fussed about it. He's got his trade up well and established. I'd love to know how many traders he's got at the moment, but it looks like we might have ourselves a bit of an attack coming through on the middle here. You can see the horsemen looking to dive down. Let's head back to that fight that was about to break out. Come on, Vodka, you can do it. There we go. And now they find the siege just completely unguarded. Look at that. They're going to be absolutely cleaning up, heading out. Look at that. An interesting split coming through. He's not committing to it.
I think he saw the infantry coming in and he was like, okay, I can't take that down. But obviously he's also focusing on the base of the enemy, constantly pressuring that only prayer tent. He wants to make sure that MarineLorD has no access to those relics because that's the only thing that's keeping MarineLorD at surface right now. Those prayer tents. And it looks like he's also getting 4 bombards up north here. Great value once again for that cavalry. And the thing is that he's winning a war of attrition here by a quite massive margin, I would say.
Yeah, he really is. And the thing is, when was the last time we saw a unit in the base of Beastyqt from MarineLorD? Like, I think it might have been like the 19th minute when that knight went to go to sleep with the sheeps on the ground. You remember that underneath the town center? That was it. Like, ever since then, it's just been units in the base of MarineLorD that have been wearing the color red. And that's not typically what you want to have in your base, MarineLorD.
Now, MarineLorD does have a scary army in the middle, so there's a bit of a timer here coming in for Beasty, because obviously he's raiding left and right and he's doing a ton of damage, but MarineLorD still has that bowl of death. We are talking about quite a lot of archers. 37 hand cannoneers is no joke, supported by what seems to be 12 springboards, only 1 bombard, and you just need one good push from MarineLorD into the base of the opponent, and Beastyqt is gonna be gone.
Are we gonna see a wonder? Beastyqt's got, look how many resources he's got. He's got almost enough to do it. The madman could do it. I don't think he's gonna do it, but the madman could do it.
That would be suicide, I feel like. But if he really wants to force MarineLorD's hand, that's the time to do it. Although, it's tricky because MarineLorD is just not pushing up, so you probably don't want to waste all your resources on a wonder. Keep in mind that Mongols don't need to spend their stone on the wonder, so it's only the food, wood, and the gold. But obviously, depleting your entire resource bank just for a wonder, when your opponent is making a push like this, is going to be very scary. Where's the cavalry at?
Yeah, that is a great question. I mean, often people ask, you know, where the hood at, where the dog's at, but now we're asking where the cavalry's at. Looks like Lance is finally going to be coming out and a bit of a battle beginning to build, and all of the Springwoods going to unfold and look to try and take out the enemy Springwoods. Look at that damage.
Yeah, and look at the left side. The cavalry charged in from the left. They are just falling on those hand cannoneers, and this is exactly the decisive battle that Beasty was waiting for. Hand cannoneers still in great numbers, but slowly but surely, they're being overwhelmed by the horseman numbers, and that's why Beasty is not investing into a wonder. He needs to just grind out the cavalry here. He knows that if he destroys this army, he might have the game.
Exactly right, and look at the production coming in now from Beastyqt. You can see he's got 21 knights in queue, 12 horsemen in queue. He's looking to overwhelm his enemy completely. Villagers also getting pulled. He says, you know what, I've got 112 of you guys. I think 14 will be fine, and they managed to make their way to the front lines. Looks like they've still got their wood chopping gloves in hand. You can see the way that they're running right there. Very intent on taking it down, but MarineLorD loses in his entire army. He's got no gold. He's got no stone. He's got he's got sufficient amounts of wood, I'll say that much, but he's definitely at this point got a dream, it seems, to win this game.
And he doesn't have the Relic's garrison right now, so from this moment, Beasty knows that a counterattack is an unlikely possibility. MarineLorD just lost a tremendous amount of resources. We're talking about 30 plus hand cannoneers getting wiped out. That's 3,000 plus gold and food down the drain here for MarineLorD. This is the window that Beasty can utilize to launch counterattack, finish off the opponent's economy, or just go for the landmark snipe.
And most importantly, make a wonder. Okay, maybe not make a wonder. Wallalol going to come off. It doesn't look too successful here. He's going to be able to just stay on the outside for now. I don't think we're going to see a wonder today, it seems, Lidakor. But who knows? Maybe we continue watching long enough, and if the game goes long enough, we're at 53 minutes at the moment. If the game gets to 80 minutes, I reckon we might see a wonder.
Can we just appreciate the fact that Beasty was at 6,000 food 2 minutes ago, and the scale of the battle at the bottom of the map was represented by the fact that he went down to like 1,500 in just 3 minutes time. So he basically had to replenish 4,000 or 5,000 food worth of army after that battle, and there goes the White Stupa, and it looks like there is the GG here by MarineLorD. He's realizing that there is no coming back into this one. It's just a matter of time.
What an absolute insane game we just witnessed. I think that's the longest Mongol mirror on record. This one is going to be going in the Guinness Book of World Records with, you know, plenty of other records, but, you know, mainly longest Mongol mirror ever. That's going to be it. What a game.
It was a crazy game indeed. Looking at that timeline, you see that decisive battle quite clearly. It was one decisive battle. MarineLorD probably knew that he's not going to live long if he just allows those raids to continue, so he had to push in, and he had a huge army. It's just the fact that Beasty had so many resources in the bank to replenish those forces that he just slowly ground down those hand cannoneers, and there was no coming back for MarineLorD.
Yeah, very well played there from Beastyqt. He knows the late game incredibly well. He is infamous for his ability in the late game to just somehow always find a way. That's the thing that he does best. He always finds a way to come back in when it's those late game situations, and it really never looked in doubt. MarineLorD just was struggling ever since about that 15th, 16th minute when that trench really got dug out in the middle.
Exactly, and one of the reasons why Beasty is considered one of the best late game players is because he's just so resilient, and he's got a very good game sense of what exactly he needs to do to potentially drag a game out and then still end up being victorious. So, as you could see, the raid bounty that he upgraded, the diagnosis that he needs to start adding the trade because this game could possibly go very long, those are things that are just making him a very special and very strong late game player.